Welcome to Knife Chats. If you like what you see, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with friends, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thank you. I recently picked up a ram's horn bone knife by Ryder, R-Y-D-E-R, so we know this is one that has been around for a year or two or so. I'm not exactly sure when the ram's horn bone series came out. I know it has been around for a little bit from the number here, RR1595, but with the RYDER, that's a box they just started using about 2 years ago. And I got to tell you, it's pretty nice. Now, I picked it up because it's in a pattern that I just don't see that often enough from Ryder, and it's a pattern that I really like, which is the, they call it the Big Daddy Barlow, also known as a Granddaddy Barlow by other companies, and also the also called a Master Barlow. And quite frankly, Ryder does a great job with their Big Daddy Barlows. They just don't make enough of them. That's typical with Ryder and me. The patterns I really like, they just don't make a lot of. But in some ways that makes them a little bit more collectible, so I'm not complaining too much. And this one is really nice. I really like it. Now, as you notice from the box here, it says ram's horn bone, which means that this is a cow bone that has been jigged to look like ram's horn. And the first thing I thought I'd do is talk about how close does this come to actually looking like ram's horn. And I'm going to do that by looking at a knife from Barlows that is using actual genuine ram horn, and then we'll go from there. Now, with a genuine ram horn, these are 5-inch toothpicks by Barlows. I've got 2 of them here. I've got a couple more because these are knives that I tend to give away. As you can tell right away, the coloring is completely different. And you'll also notice with the ram horn that because it is a natural material, it does not look the same from side to side. There is definitely a difference between them. You do see up here that clear translucent color you see in a ram horn. And yeah, this is genuine ram horn. This is not like an acrylic made to look like it or anything. So you see the rough edges there and everything. And you'll see here that on this knife, it looks different than what you saw on the previous knife. It's going to differ from knife to knife. Now, and obviously the coloring is different than what you see on the Ryder ram's horn bone. But you do have those grooves cut in there to make it kind of look like a ram horn. And they did a pretty good job with that. But you can also see on here that you see those lines there, the lines going through there. You see those same things on the stag bone handles where you see the striations going on in there. And that is because these are actually cut bone on a lathe. So there's just a pattern and it's cut out that way. And it's repetitive. So the bone handles, or the ram's horn bone handles, are going to be a much better match than what you find on an actual ram bone or ram's horn handle. So that's really the difference you're going to see. As for the coloring, ram's horn will vary in color from ram to ram, so I don't have too much of a problem with that. But all in all, it's a really nice looking handle. I have no complaints with the way the coloring looks on it or anything else. But as you can tell, it's not going to be nearly as translucent as you have in actual ram horn, because this is bone. So you're not going to get that translucent feel in it. But that said, it's still a really nice looking material on the handle. Okay, let's get the marbles out of the way here. I really like the box. This is one of those boxes that I will definitely be displaying. And this might be a knife that I pick up more than one of because I do like the the Big Daddy Barlows. But in any case, I really like the box on this knife. Just nice coloring, the ram on the front and everything, just really nice. So if you like knife boxes, this is one of those boxes you'll probably like. Let's move on to the knife. First of all, it is a solid, well-made knife. It's typical of any Rough Rider knife you're going to find. It's just the quality of the build is right up there. You can see it right there. There's absolutely no gapping or anything else. The transition from the bone into the large bolster is just fine. You do not feel it. You can feel the pins a little bit, at least the back pin here, the lower pin. I can feel it a little bit, and that's common on quite a few knives. I can also feel this back pin over here, but the ones up front and everything, not so much. You got 3 pins holding the bone handle in place. There's not a 4th pin up on top here. And the only reason I can actually feel the pins on the handle is because of the groove going on in it. So this one here is nice and flush with it. This one also is a little flush, but because the pin is recessed into the groove here in the handle, I can feel the pin here, and again here, because it is in the groove, I can catch a little bit of the pin there. But the front pins are nice and flush because they're not in one of the recessed areas. So they actually did a great job with the pinning of the handles. The one issue I have with the handle here is the shield, the little double R Rough Rider shield on the knife. Now, if this were not a Barlow, I would have no problem with that shield. I like the shield, but because it's a Barlow, I wish they would have left the shield out. I don't like a shield on a Barlow. I like the all of the billboarding that go on in the bolster, and they have the Tested Sharp double R horseshoe shield up here on the bolster, and that is really nice. I like that. They could have done the double R and the diamond up here, but quite frankly, all of the other Big Daddy Barlows that they have the Tested Sharp horseshoe shield, and so I think that's why they kept it that way. I do like the shield up on, or the embossed bolster. And it is only on one side, so if you wanted to engrave the other side, you could have the other side engraved. Nickel silver bolster, as typical. Also, I believe it's brass pins, and obviously you see the brass liners going on there. As for the blade, well, that's a second sore spot for me, and that is I wish they would have not done the reverse frosting. I would have preferred the shield. I would have preferred a plain blade on here, but all of the blades in the Ram's Horn series, the Ram's Horn Bone series, has this same reverse frosted blade etch going on. That's something that you're going to see in the entire series. It's something that is done for collectible purposes, and it's nice. They did a really good job with it. You can see it very clearly. So if you like blade etches, you're going to like the blade etch they've done on there. It's very simple, very elegant. It looks really nice. And as you notice, the knife also has a swedge going on the top here. And you see the Rough Rider Ryder horseshoe tang stamp there. So it's using the older horseshoe tang stamp that you see on all of the other Rough Rider Barlows, or Big Daddy Barlows. Also, you got the swedge going on. If I didn't mention that, you definitely have a swedge on the top of the blade. I can get that to show a little better. There we go. And you got that swedge, and that is also something you'll see on all the older Big Daddy Barlows that Rough Rider did. Really good action, definite positive half stop going on. You can feel it. Really nice snap closing. You've got a good kick going, so the blade is not making contact with the back spring. All that noise you're hearing is just the kick right down here hitting the back spring. and you see nice strong lockup. I would say the blade pull is somewhere there in the 7-8 range, somewhere around there, and really good action. And the bone really looks nice too. My only problem with it is, like I said, the blade edge, something I'm not crazy about. But the whole series is that way. So if you like blade edges, then you're really going to like that one, and it's a nice blade edge. And again, I'm just one of those people who are not crazy about shields and Barlows, but that is done more and more these days. So the question comes to, will I be picking up more knives in the Ram's Horn Bone series? I'm kind of on the fence on it, mainly because of the blade edge, but I have really no complaints about this knife whatsoever. It is a quality, well-made knife. It really comes down to the blade edge on the knife. It's nice, but it's something that is often a detractor for me. I'm not crazy about blade edges all the time, but I think if it's a pattern that I really like, then I may go ahead and pick up another Ram's Horn Bone, because I really like the way the bone looks. And the shield is not bad. It's just not something that I would have preferred on a Barlow. But if you're tying it in with the entire series, then I can see why the shield would be there as well. So we have all that looking at with it. But primarily the reason I picked this knife up was because it is a Big Daddy Barlow, or what's often called a Master Barlow or a Granddaddy Barlow. And they did a really good job with this, like they have done with previous Big Daddy Barlows. Okay, let me pull the camera back so we can see a little bit more in frame. Now, I believe the Ram's Horn Bone Big Daddy Barlow is the fourth Big Daddy Barlow that has been released in the Rough Ryder lineup. I think the first one here is the one that was done in saw cut bone. And you notice even back then it had the Rough Ryder bomb shield into the bone. And you see the horseshoe up on the bolster. But there is a difference in that bolster, because if you notice, the horseshoe in the earlier bolster is much smaller than what you see in the Ram's Horn Bone. And I actually like the horseshoe in the Ram's Horn Bone better than what you see on the earlier one in saw cut bone. I like the size of it. It looks much better, much more distinctive, and much cleaner. And it looks also that it's been stamped in there deeper. This one almost looks like it was just etched in there. This one looks like it was definitely embossed into the handle, which is nice. Another one, early one they had was in white smooth bone, and that one is a little bit different than both of these. First, it lacks the shield, which is perfect. Unfortunately, it has the smaller Rough Ryder horseshoe shield, but this one is definitely embossed and stamped into there as opposed to just etched onto it. So they're all slightly different, but it's still a smaller shield or smaller embossing than the later one you see here. You can see the difference right there. But you also will notice that this one has a much more distinct swedge going along the top of the blade. It's deeper and heavier than what you see on the Ram's Horn Bone. Notice the difference. And also what you see in the on the saw cut bone. It's just a larger swedge, much deeper, much more visible. And it's actually closer to what you see on another Smoky Mountain Knife Works made knife, but not in the Rough Ryder line, and that's the one that was in the Marbles lineup. And that one is right here. This is the one in the Wildlife series with the raccoons, and you got the piece of genuine stag bone up here, and just a plain bolster. The raccoons basically make up the shield on this knife. but you will see that the swedge on here is much closer to what you see on the Rough Rider knife. So at one time they were basically using the marbles lineup for the blade and everything on the Rough Rider knife, and looks pretty good. Any case, those are the Big Daddy Barlows that I have in the Rough Rider, or I'm sorry, made by Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Now there is another one in the Rough Rider lineup that I do not have yet, and that is the one in yellow composition. I still need to try and get one of those. I have not picked one up yet, and I may not be able to find one because it is definitely out of production at the moment. The only other knife I have in a Big Daddy Barlow from Smoky Mountain Knife Works is the one in their Master Barlow Red Ryder knife made back in 1999, I think. And this one, even back then, still had the half stop, but the blade is significantly different. And this was through Novelty Knife Company, another company that Smoky Mountain Knife Works owned. But when it comes to Rough Rider, this is the one you're most likely still going to find, which is the Ram's Horn Bone series, Big Daddy Barlow. I know this one goes in and out of production. A lot of the saw-cut bone knives go in and out of production, but I haven't seen this one in a while. Same with the white smooth bone. And like I said, I'm looking for the yellow comp and I can't find it. So this is the one you're most likely going to be able to find still. I do not know if it is in current production or not. As for the dimensions on all of these, it's a 5-inch handle, actually a little more than a 5-inch handle. It's yeah, just slightly over 5 inches on the handle with a 4-inch blade. So it's about 9 inches overall when it's open. Nice big blade, nice useful blade with really great action. And it's your typical 440A razor sharp stainless steel from Rough Rider, and it comes razor sharp. So really good knife in spite of the blade etch. And if you like blade etches, then you're really going to like this one. In any case, stick around for the slides.
Thank you for visiting Knife Chats. I hope you enjoyed your time here. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel and ringing that notification bell so that you will be notified when the next episode of Knife Chats is up online. Thanks again. See you soon.